Are you ready for the heavyweight championship of the world? Are you ready?
Hey, welcome to another episode of Ant in This Corner. Coming out the white corner, my name is Bill, and I'm ready to fight.
And coming out the black corner, my name is Barry, and I'm ready to fight.
All right, I want a good, clean fight. Let's get it on.
Welcome to End in This Corner, where we settle the score once and for all on who's the best. That includes best movies, best music, best shows, best anything. And this week, what are we talking about, Bill?
Hey, we got a good one today. We're going to go ahead and hit a 10-year anniversary recap movie review. It is the holiday season, so it is a great time to review this movie. Today, we are going to review The Best Man's Holiday, 10-year anniversary.
10 years. And when you factor in the original, this movie has a strong legacy behind it.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it. Bill, I think you actually saw this movie before me. Did you see this in theaters?
Yes, I watched it in theaters.
I was skeptical, and I know we were on a group chat together, and when it got your ringing endorsement, I decided to trust that, and I saw it shortly after you. So, initial thoughts on the movie? Care to share?
Yeah, so my initial thoughts, anytime there is a hiatus between the original and another movie and the sequel, it's always, you become skeptical of it, right? We've had a few movies just recently that has done that. I would say Avatar was one. And the first Avatar broke numbers. We know it at one point in time was the all-time number one all time.
Yeah.
The second movie,
Matrix did it too.
Matrix did it as well.
And that shows you the bad end of that.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. So when you look at the length of time between, the last movie and the next movie, it's hit or miss. And sometimes there's a lot of more misses than it is hits. However, when we were talking about The Best Man and The Best Man's Holiday, there was definitely was not a miss.
Yeah. I think they kind of had the cheat code. I think when you are going to revisit a film and there's a huge hiatus, some franchises cheat and they do a Christmas special or they do a Christmas focused sequel, and I think you get a lot of sympathy votes from that, because I think the novelty of Christmas, it tends to trick our minds to a movie could be good when it's really not. So I think sequels that did it well are Friday After Next, where they focused on Christmas, and I think Best Man Holiday is right up there. Like this, I do feel the first one is stronger, Bill, but I'm really not sure. Like I know some people who've seen the second one who haven't even seen the first. That's how strong this movie is.
So even looking at Friday After Next, what was the time frame, the time lapse between next Friday and Friday After Next?
It wasn't that big of a gap. If
it was, yeah.
So what's the time lapse on this one? Is it 1999 and 2013? So 14 years?
So what, 14 years? So you're talking about 14 years. However, the good thing about the first movie they left it open for a sequel.
Yeah.
It just so happened to take 13 years later for it to come around. However, again, like I stated, they did not miss. Shout out to Malcolmlee. Shout out to all the actors and actresses, and they did a phenomenal job, just basically picking up where they left off. Yep.
And I was surprised on how much I liked this movie. The movie is almost a bottle film. So what I mean by that is it takes place almost entirely in one location, like, which is the mansion. Yes, so that could be boring. However, I think the drama between all the characters, it makes you don't really need a lot of extra stuff going on. It's just drama filled. And I think they fleshed out a lot of the characters from the previous film, namely Candace, people that we didn't know anything about. They gave them a backstory. So cheap movies always chicken out when it come to sports scenes, which is another thing I want to bring up. They didn't get the rights to the NFL Falcons and the New York Giants. so they weren't able to use the likeness. And a lot of times we see that it could be very cheap, and you just don't want to see those sports scenes. But the football scene that it actually shows, the last game before the Giants playoff run, I thought it was well shot, and it actually, because they kept bigging up Lance, how he's this dominant athlete on the football field in the first one, and we're like, yeah, right. Sure, run, Ricky, run. You think of Boys in the Hood, but
Ricky, run. Yeah.
we get to see him. We get to see him run, and I thought that was one of my favorite scenes of the movie.
Yeah,
So,
it is actually pretty funny. I heard someone say that like Ricky got shot, but it was more of a dream. So Ricky actually is Lance.
Lance.
Ricky's actually Lance
I mean,
because he actually went to college, got the scholarship, and now he's Lance.
Yeah,
but name change and all that.
I've seen some video hysterical IG videos on that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of content creators doing that. And I mean, just the FYI, like, if he's a rookie on Best Man, that would date him to about 37, 38 years old in this film. Ain't no 38-year-old breaking the NFL rushing record. I'm just putting that out there. So I'm just gonna suspend my disbelief for the film. But
how old was Emmitt Smith?
Emmitt Smith was, I think, 37. And that's like,
well,
so they say he Emmitt Smith level.
He's Emmitt Smith all time.
All right,
all
so
time.
when we can't help but compare this to the original. So like,
we got to compare it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Is this, number one, is it a worthy sequel?
It was 100% a worthy sequel. 100%. Yeah.
So why?
Well, one thing that you stated, we got a little bit more character development. So we got to see more of Candace.
Yep.
You're always fighting for tayediggs character. Harper, you're fighting for Harper, you're fighting for, his wife. And I think what they did, they made you connect even more with the characters.
Yeah.
And their sadness became your sadness. Their happiness became your happiness.
And depending on the viewer, every viewer walks away with a different take. Like, there's going to be different characters you gravitate towards. For me, I drew more compassion for, obviously, Mia's character, because of the whole cancer angle. Harper and Robin, you can't feel sympathy for them with what's going on with them trying to conceive. Candace, for sure, because I left the last movie just thinking she was just like a stripper with a heart of gold. And I think this, like, no shit, there's more layers to her. And also Lance. Like, I kind of thought Lance was an a-hole. I thought he would, like, off the first one, I was like, you so hypocritical, like, with all the dirt you done did. With this one, especially since I'm a father, like, I'm like, okay, I see the man, like, really, his faith is getting tested right now, and he really loves his wife and spouse, and his kids and all that. So I drew, he's one that I related to a lot. And yeah, like, I came out the movie with those being some of my favorite characters. And once again, is it a worthy sequel? I introduced my kids to this film first. They just not old enough to watch the original. So, and a lot of people watch it in that order. You do not need to watch the first one because they do enough backstory to where you understand what's important from the last film. But with this being a Christmas movie, it's something that we don't get to watch it every Christmas, but maybe every other. Yeah. So, like, this is a smart sequel in the fact that it has its own life outside of the original. They're connected, but it's got legs. So definitely a strong sequel 14 years after the fact.
And I think Q became less of a hater.
Yeah. You know what? Between this and the third, he might be my favorite character.
Yeah, because you're like, there were parts in the Best Man.
Yeah.
When, I think they were walking down the street and he said something and he looked over at Harper and Harper looked at him and he was like, yeah, I know what you did.
Yeah.
And he kind of was dropping subtle little tidbits. Lance obviously couldn't catch on. Merch definitely didn't catch on. But those two definitely knew.
Yeah.
But once when Lance had him over the balcony, about to throw him over the balcony, and Q came and said, "Nah, baby, karma doesn't come back like that." And
Yeah.
that's when I think it started to change for him. And you saw them at the end scene. You saw him and Shelby in the bed together, and then this one, the Best Man Holiday, is when you saw him really looking out for merch and looking out for everybody else.
I
And,
think this does a good job of explaining his personality more, so you understand. He one of them homeboys that's just an a-hole. Like he's obnoxious. He
oh, he
loves you,
definitely not
but he
obnoxious.
wants to like annoy you. So like I think it's shown in this film, like where you understand, no, he has a heart for his homeboys. Cause I did when I first watched Best Man, I'm like, bro, this man hating. He trying to ruin his
Yeah.
wedding. But
Dog
then
is a
when you
hater
see
for
him
real.
in this, as well as the Paramount Plus series, you understand. Now he want the best for his homeboys, but he wants to be open with them. He wants to be honest. And a lot of times that there's a lot of things at stake with the honesty, but for the most part, he's always looking out for them. I think I grew to love him more from this film, but I think the series kind of cemented it for me.
I was gonna
He's my
go
favorite
right
character
exactly
in
with
this
that.
series.
The Best Man Holidays allowed me to see, like you said, he actually does have a heart of gold. Like
Yeah.
he's telling Harper, man, look, what do you need? I got you, man. I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you. You know what I'm saying? And then once you go to the what's the Best Man Chronicles or chapter?
Yeah.
I think it's chapters.
Chapters.
Chapters. Okay. That's when you see even when Lance's son, when he was, he came out and so forth, and I believe Q saw it,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like Uncle Q, and like he didn't, he became the
And
voice of reason.
yeah, he becomes more wise. Like you see during the because the thing that they do before the movies now and the series, they show you the montage. So
Yeah,
if you look at the people that he chilling with by the series, like okay, he done met with some high political figures, some nice philosophers to where
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
he is the voice of reason.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but once I think we're on the same page, like that this stacks up is one of the when you look at black sequels, I think a lot of sequels fall off the tracks when it comes to the part twos. Because this sequel was so strong, and they gotta get better at that, like striking the iron while it's hot, because I think they took too long for the series as well. Like after this one, they should have probably pumped out another movie right that following year or whatever.
So I thought after the Best Man Holiday, I thought the Best Man wedding, because
Yeah,
I thought Q and Shelby were going to get married because he
they
called
tease
on the
you.
phone.
Yeah,
So they
they
teased
tease you.
you.
Mm-hmm.
But although you have the years between each film,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't seem as long because as as they physically got older, the storyline matched.
Matched, yep. And also I think the only thing that helps out, because it is long, but it's just black don't crack. So it's like we feel like we're with the
Yeah.
same characters. But what like growing with these characters, and all right, so I can't help but talk about the soundtrack. So like we'll get into the holiday themes because this is definitely a Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, Bear, before we hit the soundtrack, right?
Mhm.
I just want to briefly, very, very briefly talk about the character,
Yep.
right? And we're just going to talk about it from this movie.
Mhm.
And we could talk about like just very quickly, like maybe 30
No, go ahead. Go
seconds
ahead.
between. So think about something like maybe growth, or what did you see differently between this character on the character on Best Man Holiday compared to its predecessor, The Best Man?
All
So
right.
I'll say, let's just say Mia.
Mhm.
What did you think between how did Mia's character develop more?
She's if we're calling them a family, like all of these friends that went to college together, grew up together, she's the matriarch of that family. Like I do think
She's the glue.
she pulling all the strings, like she understands her role.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, this is a woman who graduated with I think a bachelor's degree in journalism, maybe. I don't really remember the major, but yeah, I think so because she was an editor in college, so definitely a bright future ahead of her, and she made a lot
Yeah.
of sacrifices for her family. She
Yeah.
became a caretaker for her
Yeah.
kids. You could you could see when the kids greet all the guests that okay, they raised them right, they're on
Yeah.
point. It's easy. We see what's going on with
Yeah.
the T.I. Harris's family right now, where it's very hard to like balance wealth and
Yeah.
values to
Yeah.
where I'm like, okay, these kids is on point. I think she's the magic ingredient in all of that.
Yeah.
When
You
you
know
look
what's
at,
funny?
go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but you know what's funny between the first movie and the second movie?
Hmm.
She's not a major, she's an important character, but
She
she's
not
not
major,
a
bro.
major
Yes.
character in both of the movies.
It's because of the she was the center of the drama. So my memory always showed me that Monica Calhoun was a major player. You go back and watch it, she doesn't have a lot of screen time. And I'm like,
Mm-mm.
oh, okay, you
Mm-mm.
know.
Mm-mm.
And so even in this one, like as much as so I think the Black community did a good job of not spoiling this because everybody came out the theater saying, you're gonna cry, you're gonna cry.
Sure
I
did.
never for once thought somebody was gonna die. So even while something's going on with Mia, I just kept looking like, man, Monica Calhoun looks sick, because her weight does fluctuate between roles. And I'm like, she looking sick in this film. I don't know what's going on, but I never for
Yeah.
once thought it was the big C.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was definitely somewhat shocked, and I'm big on picking up on
Yeah.
like foreshadowing and stuff, and I did
Mhm.
not see it
Yeah.
coming, but she
We,
owns the two most iconic moments out of
yeah.
storylines out of both films.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about Q because we kind of talked about him
Mhm.
already. Let's say
Can I ask you a question?
go ahead.
Who's the comic relief for this film?
This film?
Yeah. Is there more than one? I think it's two
It's
individuals.
always Q. Q is definitely.
I think Q and Shelby, bro, they got the most, they got the funniest lines and scenes in this movie.
I mean,
Candace too.
Candace too, but yeah, because she, I whoop her. But the Q, definitely Q
It's
because when
Q for sure.
he's taking a picture and sent it to a girl and
Yeah.
the
And then
thunders,
he broke the
he threw
tablet.
the phone. Wow, like, and then him and Harper, him and Merch in the back talking about drunken monkey and
Yeah.
like, no, you can't do that. Like, man, what are y'all doing back there?
But
But
I'll give, if I'm giving I'm giving two crowns to Shelby
Shelby, yeah,
and Q, because every time I watch that movie,
comedic relief, yeah,
it depends on how I feel that day, where I'm gonna laugh at more
yeah,
of their lines than the other.
yeah. So yeah, I agree. I agree. What about Merch? We won't do all the characters,
Yeah,
to kind
Merch.
of. How do you think?
Merch because of Q. I think he's involved in a lot of the funniest scenes.
Mm-hmm.
When you factor in, I mean, you can't help but talk to the screen in frustration with what's going on. Like, cause it's like he's upset about his wife's past, but he already kind of know. It's like one of them situations where, okay, you met her, she was a stripper, so now you upset that some of this stuff is coming to the forefront. Like, you kind of wilding. Like, just go
Yeah.
talk to your spouse, bro. I think she'll understand. Like,
Yeah.
I was so frustrated that was kept a secret. So like, he's more of a frustrating character to me in this as well as the series. Sometimes it's like, okay, bro, you doing too much. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, like I do
Yeah.
think because I don't think he's a big player in this film, but I also think they fleshed that out in the later movie where it's like, it's never about me, it's always about y'all. You know what I mean? So I think they're intentional with that.
Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's always the one that I could see he's always been the one they pick on.
Yeah.
He's been the mild mannered, the more quiet, the less
He the little bro.
rah rah. So
Yeah.
he's the one that they probably always picked on, but he is very important to their overall relationships. Like all the friendships, he's a center. He is an important piece to their friendship. Amongst the fellas, I would say. So
What about
his development, I really didn't see a major development with Merch.
wasn't.
He kind of seemed the same.
Yeah.
He's just
His-
obviously they had the school. I could see probably why he was, whatever, because now somebody else who's a donor to the school. Now you lose a major donor.
Yeah. But
Money.
I think if he
So
would have told her like, hey, we gotta take your face off the website. Like, I think because of this, I think she would have understood. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, and
yeah, she
then
definitely, yeah.
yeah, it was, he caused a lot of his own chaos, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I got a question. How you feel about Jordan?
Um, Jordan, again, so some now this is where knowing the background comes into play, right? Because remember, you just said earlier you don't have to watch the first to kind of understand this one,
Kiss on the
but
forehead,
you
A Little
have
History.
to know why things are the way they are.
Yeah.
Um, the first one gives you an insight. I think Jordan kind of was it wasn't like a focus on them this movie because remember a lot of the focus was on Harper and Jordan and Mia was kind of like on the outskirts.
Here's what I'll say. When I watched the original, I always felt Jordan was really cool with Harper. Jordan was really cool with that. They were cool, and then she was cool with Mia. I think this points out, oh, she's really cool with all of them. Like she's kind of like
Absolutely, yes.
she low key a tomboy. Like she's the homegirl you got in the conversations with you. Like I didn't know she had a strong relationship with Lance like that. And
Mm-hmm.
some of that could be because she the godmama, but
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, she like, and she's sitting right next to him, I believe, at the funeral to where it's like, oh, so they all really close. Like I'm
Yes,
like,
they were all close,
yeah,
very
y'all two
close.
are sorority sisters, and then you is cool with the homies. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. I
Yeah.
think I understood more of her place within the group. I just always thought she was connected to Harper more, where this one makes
Um,
this movie fixed that up for me.
I think because of the fact that Lance and Harper were so cool, she couldn't help but be cool with him
Yeah.
because of how cool they were.
Hmm.
But then you add in Mia, so they're I don't know if I don't really remember if they were like how cool they were in
They had to be
college.
really well. Mia and her had to be really cool because she was the maid of honor, and Mia chose that.
In college?
No, she was the maid of honor at the wedding,
No,
not.
no, I'm saying I don't know how strong their relationship was in college, but
Yeah,
obviously post
the
college
yeah
to be
the
maid of honor.
flashback's not gonna really show that
Yeah.
because these are things that I don't think they knew in the original, but when they made the sequel, they're like, hey, let's go and retroactively fix some of this stuff. Like let's
Yeah,
retcon
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
they
yeah.
sorority sisters, they homies, all of
Hmm.
that.
Yes. I,
I
Jordan,
did.
I think they didn't really focus on her a lot. I think she was kind of also the
I think
lingering. She was lingering,
I
like
think
when
I think
when
I got a lot of homegirls like her to where the one that they're ambitious, career driven. And I'm like, she not really stunting no family right now. That's
Mhm.
surprising. You know what I mean? They tackle that in the chapters where it's like, she want a family now. But I
Yeah.
do think it shows you how, because I always used to wonder, like, okay, what would have happened if because I think she meshes well with
Yeah.
Harper.
But
And
I was saying as far as with her, like it was more of a lingering thing for me was it for her in this movie because every now and then you'll see a something with Jordan and you'll see something with Robin, like Robin coming in, seeing Jordan and Harper hugging and stuff like that. And
kiss on the forehead.
it's you know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of more focus on the first movie, not
Hmm.
as much focus
Yeah.
on this movie. Um, but then when you watch the chronicle or the chapters, then you'll see a little more expansion
Hmm.
amongst all of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we are. So we could stop. We could start with the characters right there,
What
and we can talk about the soundtrack.
and it's this because this is a Christmas movie and it's evident by the soundtrack. So one thing that I appreciate about this movie is sometimes with holiday films, you could just throw a soundtrack on there and you put all the classics and you expect it to
Mm-hmm.
be memorable. But I think they
Mm-hmm.
strategically place the
Mm-hmm.
right songs at the right moment, and you can't help. If you hear a song, you're gonna remember, okay, this took place during that scene. Because with
Mm-hmm.
covers, nobody want to hear covers, so these covers are actually good. So
Yeah.
the holiday moments I want to bring up when you look at Mia's death, um they covered Stevie Wonder's ass.
Ass.
Lance and Harper's repaired friendship. I thought that was the best reenactment of Can You Stand the Rain? So some that's a lot of people's
Yeah.
best moment of the
Man.
film.
Yeah.
Um Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, a small scene, but when they find out about the cancer and they just showing Lance like, hey, we here for you, bro. Like,
Yeah.
Monica playing in the background, but a lot of those spirited moments tied to the music.
Yeah. And so for me, this is, and I believe I listed this when we talked about our favorite soundtracks of all time, and we ranked them. I believe I had this one as one of my top soundtracks of all time. Like you said, there were some covers. Like you stated, a lot of covers.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily, it wasn't oh, they're so good, but like Charlie Wilson, I Still Have You, killed it. Got to mention his name because he's
I have a note about
he's on
him.
here.
I think that's one of the few original songs.
Christmas, I'll Be Stepping, and
that's my favorite song on that.
The stepping and Neo, I Want to Come Home for Christmas. That was a good one. Mario, Someday at Christmas, which obviously that's a cover. So the songs, this was a dope soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I got a couple of
kudos to Malcolm Lee. Like Malcolm Lee, when you look at his movies, he's typically on point with the soundtrack. So I know he was hands-on with this. He wanted it to have a Christmas feel. So he partnered up with RCA on getting licensing to some classics, covers on there.
Yeah.
So, and like one of the few original songs on the soundtrack, which is my favorite song on the soundtrack, which is Christmas I'll Be Stepping by who should not be named. I think it's original song, and it's on point. It's become part of my every year. It's part of my soundtrack to Christmas. Like so it's like a new classic for me. So yeah.
And just a couple of little just tidbits. It was number 3. It hit number 23 on Billboard Top 200. Number 6 R&B hip hop, and number 2 soundtrack. So it did something.
There's nice numbers for a novelty album. This is nice.
Yeah, and
it's in a day and age where soundtracks don't matter no more. So
no, you got to remember, like 2013, we're going into
streaming.
We're starting to streaming and CDs are starting to be phased out, if not phased out. But to still have a quality soundtrack in the time period of where soundtracks weren't really that light anymore. Wonderful job. Yeah. Wonderful job.
Yeah. With that being said, I put this as it's a classic Christmas movie. Like when I say classic, it's so hard to compare yourself to classic films that have been here since the 60s, since the 80s, since the 70s. But for you to be part of my catalog that I'm watching every other year, and to be real with you, the only reason I don't watch it as like every year is because of the drama, the Mia scene. That's not something I want to subject myself to every year. It is depressing. Like every time I watch that movie, you think it's gonna get easier the second, third, fourth, fifth time around.
No,
it's a tough scene, and I'm like, I ain't watching that next year. I'm straight.
First time I saw it,
I'm not crying. You're crying.
I'm like, you got a tear over there? Oh, no, I don't got no.
Hey,
boy.
So
it's a little dusty.
I just want to bring up some fun facts, some behind the scenes stuff. So, when we think of Nia Long, she's a darling, right? And we watched her grow up before our eyes from Friday to now.
Yeah, made in America.
And apparently, I know there was some diva stuff going on behind the scenes, which is why, for the life of me, I just never understood why she had on white at the funeral. And I'm like, I don't get why I don't understand why this ties in with her character. But I think it was a standoff between either her and the actor or her and the director. Like it was kind of like a protest, like something she didn't want to do. So she purposely wore white. There's a story about it online. Read it for yourself.
Oh, wow. Really?
But I every time I watch that scene, I can't help but laugh because it's like they left it in the movie. They didn't CGI it out. And it just looks weird. Like every time I watch it with somebody watching the movie for the first time, they always ask, why is she wearing white? What's going on with the white? I'm like, I don't know. But now I have an answer for it. Just Google Why is she wearing white at the funeral?
I never paid attention to it.
Yeah,
So
man.
now when I watch it again, I'm gonna watch it, look at it. So
Yeah,
wow, that's cool. I mean, that's something I didn't know.
yeah.
Something I didn't know. And it was
So
it was pretty dope, in a sense, when when during the funeral you hear Anthony Hamilton's voice, and then it breaks away to Marsha Ambrosia,
mhm,
Ambrosia,
yeah.
um, um, playing the piano, and they
Mhm.
both are singing a song. So it's pretty. That was a cool scene.
Yeah,
But
that's a nice little callback to the original. Like they understood the assignment on this one. It's like certain
yeah,
things that they could have. I think when people misread a classic, they could have brought back the stuff we didn't care about. Like honestly, this wouldn't have worked if it would have been another wedding. Like, because I always thought the sequel was going to be that. Like, okay, whose wedding are we going to this time? I think they picked
Mm,
a right different storyline for this one, and it makes it stand on its own as its own film. I respect the
really.
film for that. It probably would have worked, but
I didn't think they were going to be. No, I'm just saying. I didn't think it was going to be a wedding sequel. I really
I
didn't
thought
know
it
what
was,
kind
bro.
of. I thought it was going to be a okay. Where do they go from now?
Yeah, bro. When I saw the
Um,
title, Best Man Holiday, I was like, this is gonna be whack. Like, y'all
mhm.
making a Christmas movie? What? Like, bring on the. I was like, bring on the wedding. This is stupid. This look dumb. And I just was like
Oh
hating
wow.
on the film before I saw it, and then people kept coming out the theater like, nah, bro, it's dope. Like,
Yeah,
it's
bro.
actually on
I'm
point.
telling you, the first time I saw it, I was in the theater. I was like,
I ain't gonna tell you where, but you gonna cry a little
man,
bit. I'm like,
bro.
you for real?
Yeah. And the good thing I like about it from beginning to end, it was great.
Yeah.
It was
It's
great. It
not
was great.
slow. I mean, even with slow moments, it's just I
Mhm.
appreciate everything that film. Like to show you how old this film is. This film is old, bro. It's 2013. We're doing the
13.
10-year anniversary. I'm watching Bel Air season 2, and one of the characters look familiar to me. I'm like, I know that's not Lance's daughter, and I know they're not this grown right now. And I go on IMDb, and lo and behold, one of the daughters is on Bel Air, and they're like
Mm,
22-year-olds playing 18-year-olds, but I'm like, that's how old this movie is. So I'm like, it feels like it
wow.
just came out yesterday.
Mm, that's but they do that though. They
Yeah,
do that.
that's what classics
So
do, man. They timeless.
yeah,
They stand outside of time.
yeah, 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 absolutely. So where do we go now? We talked about a little background. We talked about the soundtrack. Where I believe you were going to talk about where does this rank as
What?
with other holiday movies?
Yeah, with Christmas movies, here's the thing. Like I always tell people, whenever you're creating a novelty film,
Hmm.
the movie technically doesn't have to be that good because of the way we are with nostalgia. We could watch bad content as long as it reminds us of a previous time. So if you're making a
Okay.
Christmas movie, a Halloween movie, a Thanksgiving movie, off of the strength alone, it's going to elevate the film. But when
Okay.
you make a good movie, that even if you take away the festive themes, it's still great.
Hmm.
I think you're on to something. So few holiday movies have that. Like some holiday movies are good for Christmas movies. Like I always tell people, Iron Man 3, it sucks. But if you're watching it
Yes.
for Christmas exclusively, it's a decent film, right? So that's me giving it an edge for Christmas.
Boy, you graded, you must
But
be graded that on the curve
it's a
because
lot of bad.
woo.
All Christmas movies are graded on a curve. So for me, this movie stacks up well against the Christmas classics because it did well commercially. So that
It
means
did.
say
It
what you
did.
want, it put butts in the seats in the theaters.
Hmm.
Um, you also bring in the soundtracks on point, like the Christmas movie, Christmas music. Okay, memorable moments. That's awesome. Now,
Hmm.
if it did well commercially, it didn't do well critically, did it? Bill, you just shared with me before we reviewed this. What were the scores on Rotten Tomatoes?
Rotten Tomatoes, it was 70%.
Yeah, like for me, my rule on Rotten Tomatoes is, screw what the critics say. Like a lot of times, I don't agree with the critics,
Yeah,
but I mostly say that when the reviews are bad. These
absolutely.
reviews are good, so let's take that. So
Yeah.
critically, it did well. Commercially, it did well.
Hmm.
Um, the fact that people could leapfrog the original to watch this first shows you the movie could stand on its own. And
Mm-hmm.
when you factor in some of its competition, I think it's very difficult to compare yourselves to like the Home Alones of the world, the Christmas Stories of the world. But I would
It's
think this
hard.
is
Yeah.
I feel like this is bordering on that B tier, which I feel like B tier is strong. Like you have your Jingle All the Ways, your I'm trying to
Christmas
think.
with the Cranks.
Yeah, and for me, it's the top of the B tier. Like, so that shows you like it's the cream of that crop.
So
like,
is it okay? So okay, let me back up just a little bit.
yeah.
So we're talking about our nostalgia, our iconic films, right? You're gonna talk
Mhm.
about A Christmas Story,
Yep.
White Christmas,
Miracle on 34th Street,
Miracle on 34th
The Wonderful
Street,
Life.
The Wonderful Life, Charlie Brown Christmas.
Mhm.
Those Home Alone, one
Yeah.
and two.
Yeah.
Those are our staple Christmas
And
films.
because if you talk to a 4-year-old, they're familiar with those movies, they like it. A teenager, they're familiar with them, they like it. 20 to 40, they're familiar with it, they like it. An 80-year-old, they're familiar, they like it.
So okay, so we're talking about those are
Yes.
they're cemented.
Yes.
Now, when you're talking about that next tier of movies where you're talking about well, I don't know, National Lampoon's Christmas might go up and go back up there too.
It's there.
It might,
I think you could put that there. Like
So-
I think you could put that A tier. Like
yeah, I think A tier. But now you start looking at the Preacher's Wife.
mhm.
You start looking at
I think this is above Preacher's Wife, bro. Like I think this, I don't even put Preacher's Wife in the same tier.
I do, because we didn't have any background. It was just that's it.
Yeah.
I think I was for The Best Man's Holiday, for me, why I rank it, because one, it's just a standalone great movie.
Yeah. I think that's
Period.
more of a testament on how comfortable I feel with this film.
But I also had a background knowledge of characters, and
Mhm.
I wanted to see certain people win. So I kind of looked at it that way. But when I look
Mhm.
at Preacher's Wife, I looked at, man, this is just a beautiful, great movie. Soundtrack
along
was-
with Preacher's Wife, who do you just start naming out B tier movies? For me, I'm putting Gremlins in there. I'm putting Elf is really close to being A tier.
Elf is.
But Grinch Who
Elf is-
Stole Christmas, I'm putting that B tier. I'm putting
Wait, whoa. You say B tier?
Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Dr.
That's
Seuss.
A tier. Yeah, I got that A tier.
I got a B tier.
Because it's just a staple. Like,
No,
they got the
because
song. You have the
I feel
song.
like
Which one
like
are you
the
talking about? Wait, which one are you talking about?
The special is A tier. I think the Dr. Seuss Jim Carrey one, I think that's B tier. A lot of people.
Oh yeah,
don't
okay,
like it.
yeah, okay.
Okay, all right.
No, we're good. We're good.
Okay,
we're
all
good.
right.
Frosty the Snowman got going to that A tier.
A tier, yeah.
The first one. The first one.
Stuff.
Rudolph got to go in that
She
first
thinks
one.
I'm cute, all of that.
Yeah.
But I'm putting like the Bad Santas and stuff like that. That's a C tier.
Just like okay.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying the Die Hard, Die Hard, because it's so polarizing as is it Christmas, is it not? I'll be prone to put that B tier, maybe. You know what I mean? That's my third favorite movie of all time. I'm saying Best Man Holiday is on par with a lot of those films that predated by 15
It's not, but it's not even, absolutely 100%. That's like
That's
Friday After Next.
For me, that's
B tier to me.
Bro, listen. I love me some Friday. I think Best Man Holiday might be a stronger holiday film than Friday After Next. I think
they're in the same tier. I got them in the same tier.
But I'm just saying, where are they in the tier?
I mean, you got a B is for 89 to 80. So.
Yeah, they're on 89. I feel like that's
but
so who knows?
What's funny because they're so different.
They are.
Like,
but
Friday After Next, I'm laughing from the beginning scene when the man came, when Ricky Smiley Santa Claus was beating him with the
now they're both successful on,
but
forcing you to emote. But I think Friday After Next is trying to make you laugh. This movie tries to make you cry, and they're
both trying to do something. Yeah. Both were successful at doing what they were doing. So yeah, absolutely. So I think we are both in agreement that it is a strong
B,
Christmas movie, and it it does not fail in comparison to the others.
Nah, it's a strong. I think this is an example of when you want to do a sequel the right way. This is what you do.
And not only is a sequel, so it's a great sequel, a great Christmas movie. So you got the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
basically.
it's making money every year because of that. You know, Malcolm Lee ain't not really trying to direct right now because he just living off of this catalog. But hey, that's what I have it at a B tier. Bill, you have it at a B tier. We both love the soundtrack. We both love the character development. We believe it's a worthy sequel. At the end of the day, Bill, we're isms in the frat. We're both number 2. So a lot of times we are like-minded. Me and you agree on this one. Some people out there may not agree with us.
Yeah.
If they do not agree with us, what do they need to do?
Hey, they know what to do. They should know what to do if they've been watching us. Go to that comment section, and we call it my 2 cents. And leave your 2 cents. Do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? Hey, let us know. What's your favorite scene in the movie? What's your least favorite scene? Who's your favorite character? Do whatever. That comment section is for you guys. Let's go. Let's have dialogue.
Let's go. And then, Bill, what's another thing they could do to show support?
Hey, like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so that when we release any new content, you're instantly notified. And please don't forget to share our content. Don't forget to share our content.
Oh, there we go. Speaking of holiday movies, I'm gonna get into it myself. Jump into my catalog this season. Everybody, happy holidays. Without any further ado, peace.
Peace.